lead you to why we were concerned and wanted to make sure you knew what those groups were, so that hopefully we will get a good person for this position eventually. Director, and these were the director's positions were, and will have to be somehow sorted out according to the rules. Kristen Larson, Alan Frechette, me, Sally Burns, John Wells, Sandy Sandoval, Taylor Bachman, and Philip Adam, and Andy Hillebrand. Yeah, and this was slipped in there. If you wish to submit a question for the nominees for chair to answer, they must be turned in before the elections of officers begins. And it's being held up back there, so put them in the bucket. Okay, adoption of Constitution. Yes, got a question?
Where the list says director, and then the agenda says election of members at large.
Under the Constitution, it's members at large, but that's traditionally been referred to as directors, so they took a shortcut. It's
Okay,
fewer
so
letters.
it's the same thing.
Same thing. Yes.
Jules W. Douglas, CD4, State Central Committee. I'm wondering why there is nobody on there from CD4 or CD5.
This is just the people who submitted
Okay, I
applications
didn't know
on it.
about
That,
submitting it.
this meeting, anyone who wishes to may place their names in nomination at the time on the agenda. This is just the ones that submitted in advance.
Is there a way to have more than 8 directors?
The Constitution provides for up to 16, and so, but if there's more than 8, we'll still have to hold an election to figure out which ones are this year and which one are odd years and which ones are even years.
Oh, okay.
And we also have to meet gender balance and other such things, but it can be up to 16 under the Constitution. Now, that in itself is a bit of a problem, because if the Constitution says up to 16, and you have one that resigns, that does not have a create a vacancy, because one is still up to 16. So as long as it says up to, you can't have any vacancies for the at-large members. That's one of the things we will probably adjust in the Constitution as time goes on. But in every Constitution, there is always something that can be tweaked. Now, before we go into adoption of the Constitution, the rules provide that I can grant speaking time to someone who is an elected official, a party officer, or an honored guest. And we have someone here who fits at least 2 of those criteria. I would like to introduce to you someone you already know, Rebecca Otto.
So I'm very happy to be here today, and as I've heard all of you introduce yourselves, I just have goosebumps, because so many of you were so important in my primary and in my election, and you did so much for me. Between some people were able to donate financially, some people did phone calls, some people, talked to their families, but at the end of the day, we really had a glorious victory with 81% in the primary. We showed that endorsements matter. And we also, I won by the largest margin in the general election that I ever have. And I could not have done it without you, or my husband, Sean, who put in long, long, long days for a long time. So thank you, honey. And I'm a dues paying member, just so you know. I wanted to Larry's clapping. I didn't realize he was running for treasurer. Did I endorse him when I talked about his financial report? I'm a little worried about that procedurally. Because I want to, well, anyway, so, and I do want to let you know, if you don't know, some of you have been to my home. Generally once a year we open our home and we have a party. We usually raise money too, but we open our home, and we built a renewable energy home over 20 years ago, before it was sexy. And, we were super insulated, partially earth burned, solar, passive solar, we're south oriented. We have geothermal heating and cooling. We have just so much stuff. What's this? The wind generator? Didn't I say that? Did I forget the wind generator? Okay.
Either that or he was telling you to speed it up.
I don't see that signal. No, actually, he's the one that tells me to slow down. He always says you go too fast and you leave too quickly and you should share with people what's important. So I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I'm so happy to be able to come before you today. I drive a mostly electric car. My husband drives an all-electric car. We were doing this stuff a long time ago. My family recycled when I lived in California before people really recycled. And my grandma taught me that. And she taught me conservation, and she told me she was very worried about electric appliances. She said she thought it'd be the end of the world. And she said, you know, electric toothbrushes, why in the world do you need electricity to brush your teeth? She wouldn't allow for paper towels in her home. I spent a lot of time with her. And she lived in Arizona where there was no water. So when I took my bath, there was this much water in the tub. She made sure my ears were clean. We took that water, scooped it, and that went out to the cactus garden. And there was no lawn. You know, I come from a family steeped in trying to take care of the earth and the environment and being good to it. And so in my job as state auditor, I've had opportunities to try to live my values, whether it be issuing actually a nationally recognized report on best practices for local governments to reduce their energy costs. And it was a very well received report, not just for local governments, churches were using it, you know, there were all kinds of groups that told me this was a really helpful report. And I did have an opportunity in my job on the executive council to vote against some non-ferrous leases due to my concern about the cost as state auditor, it's really my job to watch out for the best interest of Minnesotans and to protect our assets. And our water is a massive asset, and so is our air. And I think we're beginning to understand the importance of our water right now, because you look at California, and my husband and I were just out there. He was up for an LA Times book prize award for his new novel, Sins of Our Fathers, which is set up on the Iron Range. I know.
And it's good.
But you know what? We were on the USC campus, and all the fountains are dry, right? The world is, and it's always been dry out there. I was born there. But just they've made it look really green, but it's really not. And so anyway, we have a resource here that's as precious as gold, or more precious. And more and more the country will be looking to us for a resource, and so it's imperative upon us to protect that. So I'm going to stop now. You've been so patient with me. But I am deeply honored to serve you. I will continue to do my job the very best that I can. And I'm really excited to be a member of this caucus and a Dues Pay member. It's really exciting. So anyway, thank you, and I hope the day goes great. And if I leave early, it's because our budget is up. The conference committee, yeah, I know, we laughed loud. The conference committee still has not met. They met once, and that was it. And you're on call all the time. So I'm watching my phone for a text. Senator Pappas has been so good to me to let me know. But as you know, it's a little rough going there right now.
Yes.
Yeah, you know. And I was just with the governor and a bunch of people a little bit ago at a ceremony, so I really hope that they land in a good place before it's all done. So again, thank you, and thank you for all the work you're going to do. And feel free to call upon me if I can ever be of help to you. Thank you.
I always like introducing Rebecca because, of course, us McAllister Reds have to stick together. Mine was a few years before hers. Next item on the agenda is approval of a constitution. Our constitution must be approved both by us and by the state party through their constitution committee. And the constitution committee actually already approved an agenda. So what we need to do is approve one with the same text as that. We can then propose amendments to that, but those amendments would have to go back to the Constitution Committee. So in front of you is a copy of the Constitution that has already been approved. It was drafted by the Steering Committee and has been approved by the Constitution Committee. So, and there's copies are being passed out. Is there a motion to approve that Constitution?
So moved.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? I see none.
Just a question here.
She's asking for a copy. What about copy? Hand was raised, but they weren't looking at me. Yes?
My question is, when you say the Constitution was approved by the Constitution Committee, is that the DFL State
Yes.
Constitution Committee? Thanks.
It's actually the State Constitution, Bylaws, and Rules Committee.
Okay.
It used to be the Constitution and Bylaws Commission, but when they changed it from a commission to a committee, they decided to add rules. They also decided at the same time to throw me off of the committee, which is probably a good idea. I've been on it for a decade, it was time. So is there any further questions on the proposed constitution? Once we approve it, I will open the floor for any proposed amendments to it. I'm hoping there aren't very many of them. But without any further discussion, all in favor of approving the Constitution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a Constitution. Are there any proposed amendments at this time? Yes.
Can I just say, I've read through this whole thing, and it's a good working document. If we want to change it, we could in the future, but if we change it now, then we're in a, are we in a?
No, what we would do is we would change it, but those changes would then have to go back to the Constitution Committee, would not be approved until they also approved it.
That's
So-
a Minnesota OPTA.
And there are some things that are worth changing. Now, as I read the Constitution, the bylaws can be changed at any meeting, the Constitution can be changed at annual meetings, which means we'd have to do it for, if we don't change it now, we'd have to wait till next year to change it, and that's probably fine, but that's why I'm bringing it up here. If any of you see anything that you feel really needs to be changed quickly, now would be a good time to cover it. I don't see anyone raising their hand wishing to speak, so I will assume there are none. According to the agenda we adopted, we now have a 15-minute break. And I would suggest that during that break, in addition to perhaps partaking of the refreshments and general schmoozing, there is a jar on the table for donations. And any of you who has a little extra change in your pocket, that would be a good place for it. Addition, we're going to be having a question and answer period for chair immediately after those presentations. And to get the questions for that, there is a bucket or a box or a plastic container to hold those questions. Now would be a good time to submit them. Okay. I will now say we are recessed for the next 15 minutes. Thank you.
There used to be a neophyte.